Please, man. Please.
In the aftermath of George Floyd's death, police departments across America have come under new scrutiny. Millions calling for increased transparency and accountability. And while videos like this are clear violations of policy and just basic decency, a lot of police misconduct is invisible until you take a closer look. Only ABC 15's Zach Crenshaw uncovering one Mesa police officer who's recently been disciplined twice within a year, both times for his use of force.
This is Officer Greg Clark after a teen accused of trespassing surrenders.
Does Mesa Police have a culture problem?
No, we do not.
But they may have a Greg Clark problem. This 2018 policy violation led to a 20-hour suspension. But as you'll see, that discipline didn't stop him from another reprimand over his use of force just a year later. Since 2019, Officer Clark has been suspended 130 hours, roughly 16 workdays. The unpaid discipline stems from two incidents, the most recent involving this man, Mitchell Knutson. In September 2019, when confronted for sleeping in a private parking lot, Mitchell decides to run.
Get over here now.
The female officer catches him, cuffs him, and then Clark shows up.
Just help me stand him up.
In the video, blurred by Mesa PD, Clark can be seen kicking the handcuffed man, then pulling him up by his hair.
Okay.
Clark's suspension taking place in April 2020.
110 hours of unpaid time off, some additional remedial training, and placed on disciplinary probation for 1 year.
But Assistant Chief Ed Wessing acknowledges
He was disciplined for a very similar incident.
You're not getting away, man.
Remember that teen accused of trespassing? In March 2018, the young man runs from Clark and another bike officer. They eventually catch up to him, and he's clearly surrendering when Clark rams his knee into the teen's back, cuffs the kid, pulls him up, and seconds later, sweeps his leg, knocking him to the ground. Then Clark picks up his cell phone, tosses it at the wall, cracking the screen even more. A sergeant later wrote Clark demonstrated, quote, reckless, poor decision-making. The now current chief, Ken Cost, put Clark on a 7-step corrective action plan, which stated failure to immediately improve may result in disciplinary action, including termination. But just 3 months after that corrective action was complete, Clark did this.
That's unacceptable.
Also unacceptable in Chief Wessing's mind, how another officer on scene talked to Mitchell.
I'm going to take this off you. If you move, you're going to hit the ground so hard. You understand?
What do you make of that language?
That's unacceptable. We do have in our code of conduct a violation of discourtesy where our officers should not be using profanity.
But that officer was never disciplined.
There's going to be less of a tolerance for mistakes on officers' parts. And, they're going to expect more severe and direct discipline.
Kevin Robinson is an ASU professor and former Phoenix Police Assistant Chief. He believes the fact that Mesa discovered Clark's policy violation on their own and disciplined him should be reassuring.
Demonstrating to the community that they're going to deal with issues when they come to their attention.
But as someone who sat on Phoenix PD's review board for years, Robinson says Clark's behavior is cause for concern.
The whole idea of discipline is to correct the behavior. If you don't respond to that correction initially, then you can be a liability to the organization, and that's what police departments have to be very careful of.
Mesa PD has a history of high-profile incidents involving excessive force.
If you continue to erode that public trust by failing to address issues, you're never going to be successful.
Wessing says Clark knows he's on thin ice. But some in the community have said, so is Mesa as a department.
Do you feel like you have people in your department who are a liability for Mesa PD?
None that I'm aware of.
Certainly disturbing to watch, Zach, and we saw those videos. You told us about the department discipline, but the question comes up, what about criminal charges? Was that ever a consideration?
Yeah, well, Steve, Assistant Chief Wessing tells me in the first incident, they did not look into a criminal investigation. And in the second, I'm told the suspect did not want to help in their investigation. As for why Clark is still employed by Mesa PD, here's the explanation I received.
If we really felt that this had risen to the level of termination, there's no doubt in my mind that both myself and Chief Cost would have made that determination.
Now, Clark is still a patrol officer in Mesa. I'm told he's been transferred to a day shift for more supervision. Steve?
Thanks so much.